Hey, Lock Squad, welcome back to another episode of The Movie Shelf. That's where we presumably take a film or movie off this shelf, watch it, give it a ranking between 0 and 100, and then put it up against all the other films that we reviewed. This is number 11 today. Um, I'm just going to get right to it. Request Anonymous. This one comes from 1989, a little film called The Field of Dreams. Um, this is one of the great Kevin Costner baseball films of all time. This might be my favorite sports movie. It's definitely my favorite baseball movie. Which is hard to say because of the likes of Bull Durham and For Love of the Game. I love those movies. I know our friend Gobo doesn't care for them, but what does he know anyway? He barely knows football. Don't let him talk about movies. All right. So, all star cast, starting out with Kevin Costner. Um, he plays Ray Kinsella. This one was directed by Phil Alden Robinson, based on a novel. He actually wrote the screenplay. The novel was written by W.P. Kinsella. But this got James Earl Jones in it. He plays Terrence Mann, another writer. Um, we'll get to that. Ray Liotta plays, of course, the left-handed Shoeless Joe Jackson. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but or if you knew that Shoeless Joe Jackson actually was a left-handed batter, but he threw right. Ray Liotta is a right-handed batter that throws left. They left it. They left it in the film. Didn't seem to make much difference since Shoeless Joe hasn't played since the 20s, and most people would not have an argument with how they portrayed him. Um, Amy Madigan, she's great in this film. She plays Annie, Ray's wife. Timothy Busfield from the likes of Revenge of the Nerds. He uh, he plays Mark, her brother. We'll get to him also. And Frank Whaley plays um, Dr. Moonlight Graham, which is kind of cool. So let's start about a little bit of the plot, okay? It's a baseball lover, 36-year-old Kevin Costner's character, Ray Kinsella. Never been a farmer before in his life, but moves to Iowa, buys a farm, becomes a farmer. Then he starts worrying about becoming too much like his father, who he claims never took a chance in his life. And one day, old Ray's out in the fields and he hears a voice. And what does the voice say? The voice says, "If you build it, he will come." And he's like, "What the hell?" Now imagine you're going about your own business in your field and you hear a voice. That would be alarming by any measure. But let alone to not know what it meant by that. If you build it, he will come. What does that mean? Well, eventually he sees off in the distance that it's a baseball field that he could build potentially. And then he figures out it's so that these players that were removed from the game can come back and have a place to play. Seems kind of fantastical when you talk about it or ridiculous, but the movie does not portray it that way at all. It's very smooth. It's not at all difficult to hang with. I will tell you, a lot of people don't know the voice out in the cornfield is actually Ed Harris. Yeah, this guy. You know him from many, many movies. Ed Harris is the voice that says, "Go the distance, ease his pain." Throughout the course of the film, the field whispers several phrases. After one task is completed, seemingly, he gets another task to continue on the mission. And quite frankly, they're on the verge of losing their farm because what the amount of field that he plowed under to make this baseball field is what that was going to be their margins that put them ahead for the year. Now, a baseball field in real life is roughly just over 2 acres of land. And in this film, he says uh, that land is worth $2,200 an acre. So we're talking about a matter of less than $5,000. I don't know that that jives, but anyway, that's something that you can argue, continuity issues all day long. But this film is, it's just a feel good film. You watch it, and I mean, it's hard to not be romantic about baseball. That's a line that comes from another film, Moneyball, which I should review. I should definitely review that. And this this film is filled with romance. I found out something that kind of taints this film a little bit for me. I don't want to necessarily share it with you, but I'm going to because that's what this is all about. One of my favorite parts of the film is the smut writer played by James Earl Jones, Terrence Mann. Uh, he is the most romantic about baseball. He is the most profound speaker by far in this film. And in real life, James Earl Jones hates baseball. Let me say that again. James Earl Jones hates baseball. And he's made this amazing, like, I don't want to say like, I mean, this is a historic film. I mean, it's in the Library of Congress. It's observed by the Library of Congress as a great fact, like artistic piece of history in this country. And to find out that James Earl Jones hates baseball, I don't know how that makes me feel. If it doesn't make me feel good, uh, let's see here. This film had a budget of $15 million. It's a big budget. Probably most of it was spent building the actual field. Box office numbers in the United States cleared just under 85 million. So that's a good return on the investment. I'll let you guys figure out the worldwide numbers because it doesn't really matter to me. The United States, it's a US film all day long. So nominated for 3 Oscars, did not win any Oscars, but it was nominated for Best Picture, which it should have been. Both Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are in this film. Yes. Let me tell you, let me explain. They're among the thousands of extras at the Fenway Park scene, and they're uncredited. Over a decade later, when Phil Alden Robinson welcomed Affleck to the set of Sum of All Fears, Affleck said, "Nice to work with you again." And he said, "What are you talking about?" And that's when he explained to him that him and Matt Damon were indeed extras in the Fenway Park scene where Terrence Mann goes to the baseball game with Ray Kinsella. That's kind of a cool piece of trivia that a lot of people don't know. And the scene where he hits a line drive back up the middle based on the curveball and Kevin Costner's character falls to the ground, that was real. Kevin Costner luckily stayed in character so they could use it in the film. But that hit up the middle that hit the bag of balls and knocks down Kevin Costner, not acting. That's just one of those cool things that happens on the set, and they got to keep it in the film. It's one of those films that has real staying power in some of the lines that are said. And there's a American Film Institute list of all-time quotes from films. And this one has one in it, and you guessed it. I already said it a couple times. If you build it, he will come. Is a top 100 all-time movie quote. I think they had it at 39. I don't know how often this list changes, but last time I knew, it was number 39 out of 100 on the all-time list of movie quotes. So Phil Alden Robinson actually wanted Jimmy Stewart to play the role of old Moonlight Graham. That would have been really cool, but Jimmy Stewart just hadn't acted in forever and ever and ever, maybe a decade or more, and just didn't feel up to the part. But he did it. He was able to get him into the film. If you watch early on in the movie, the daughter is watching a black and white film with Jimmy Stewart, and I believe it's Harvey is the film that she's watching. So I guess I need to put Harvey on the list of films to review. It's kind of cool how one film takes you into another. So I'll put that on the list. Harvey with Jimmy Stewart. We'll put it on the list. What's going on with the Field of Dreams today? Well, there's a lot going on, to be honest with you. There wasn't a game this year just because of construction, but the previous two baseball seasons, there were games played there. The Chicago White Sox and the New York Yankees played. Well, they were scheduled to play a regular season game before the pandemic happened, but they postponed it, and it finally did come to be on August the 12th of 2021. That was the first time. They did it again in 2022 with different teams. But both of these games have been oddly just, I mean, it seems scripted. So, as part of the pregame ceremonies of the first game, Kevin Costner actually walked onto the field through the surrounding cornfield, and he was followed by the White Sox and the Yankees, players, managers, and echo the film scenes. Well, the White Sox won 9-8 on a 2-run walk-off home run by shortstop Tim Anderson. After the Yankees came back and took the lead, I believe they took the lead in the ninth inning with home runs by Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. So Anderson's was the White Sox 15th walk-off home run against the Yankees. And guess who was the first to ever do that? Shoeless Joe Jackson. That's what kind of makes this, I mean, that's crazy to think about. 15 times on the Field of Dreams, this was the 15th time in history the Yankees have been walked off by the White Sox, and the first time was Shoeless Joe Jackson. Give me a break. It was the highest watched Major League Baseball game since 2005. So there's a scene in the film where one of the practice players, and it's cited as a goof, but one of the players turns around and says, I'm melting, as he goes into the corn. Well, anybody that knows film history would know that he is mimicking a scene from The Wizard of Oz. Now, why would that be problematic? Okay. The Black Sox scandal happened in 1919, which was 20 years before The Wizard of Oz was even made. So they would have no idea about that film. Do with that what you will. The score in this film is incredible. And I don't usually talk about the score unless it pops out on me. I mean, I have a couple of regrets of some that I missed, like when I did The Shining. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. I should not have skipped out on the score of The Shining. Oh my God. But James Horner did the score for this film, and he wasn't sure that he was going to be able to make it work. But then when he read the script and he saw a cut of the film, he's like, what I will forego whatever problem issues I have, and I need to work on this film. So that's really cool. Reba McEntire auditioned for the part of Annie. That would have been interesting. But then again, so did Karen Allen, Kim Basinger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Gina Davis, Jodie Foster, Mary Elizabeth Masterson, Demi Moore, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Molly Ringwald, Renee Russo, Susan Sarandon, Ali Sheedy, Madeline Stowe, Emma Thompson, and Sigourney Weaver. My God, everybody in in the world auditioned for this role, and it goes to little old Amy Madigan. Uh, I can't imagine anybody else playing that role. Um, Very important part, and she did a great job. That said, let's get on to the rating because that's the only thing left. This movie is fantastical. I don't know if that's a word. This movie is fantastical. It is whimsical. It is a baseball lover's dream. It romanticizes everything we love about the game, and it just, I mean, it makes you feel good. The old Moonlight Graham to the new Moonlight Graham, saving the daughter and not being able to go back, but having accomplished his dream. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. Um, like I said, my favorite sports movie of all time, probably. And I'm going to give this film, ready? An 89.1. Yes, that's right. 89.1, which is good enough to put it on our all-time list at number 5. So there you have it. Field of Dreams. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Rewatch it if you have. Thank you guys for watching the movie shelf. Please give me more suggestions. The list is growing every day, so I have plenty of options. Until next time, see you later.